Good evening everyone. Charlotte here from Enriching Environments. It is Tuesday the 1st of December and this is Top Tip Tuesday on Instagram Live. This evening we are going to be discussing why we observe our children prior to offering help, or otherwise known as interfering, when they are working or when they're mastering a new skill. And so before we begin, I know that you are being notified that I have gone live. So let's firstly say Happy National Day to everyone who is celebrating here in the UAE tomorrow, 49th National Day for the UAE. And also December the 1st, I believe, is Romania Day. That's what my feed, I follow lots of Romanian Montessorians on Instagram. So happy Romania Day to you as well. So I think everyone has joined who would like to. And shall we begin? So the video, as you may have seen on my feed, that I used to illustrate, hello Eco Glitter, the video that I used to illustrate this evening's topic is one of Harry buttoning his shirt. The video actually was taken back in May, so that was quite a long time ago, 8 months ago, and he was 3 and 2 months, and he had just learned to button his buttons on his shirt for the first time. And at the time, and you'll see in the video, I mean, it's a sped up and a very short video, but he was taking about 2 minutes to do each button, and during that time he would look up and speak to me, and Olivia's wandering around and the cat's wandering around, and I was filming him, and I really took care to not interrupt him, to not say anything, to not break his concentration in any way by offering to help. I knew he was almost at that point of completing this task, and he'd been practicing for a long time, but I didn't interrupt. And if you watch the video and you think that's 24 seconds and it was in double time, and that was just one button that he's doing in the whole of that 24-second shot, you probably were thinking, oh my goodness, can't you just help him? It's going to take him forever. Why didn't I help him? Why didn't I offer to do it for him? Why didn't I step in and support him? And so that's the theme of this evening. And what I've done is I have put this together in 3 parts. Hi Melissa. Hi Indian Women Dubai. Hi Glambox. So I'm trying to give you all a wave just before I dive in. So the way I've structured this evening's Top Tip Tuesday is I'm going to give 3 reasons why we observe prior to interrupting. And I'm going to give 3 reasons why offering to help, otherwise known as interrupting, is not helpful at all. So starting with the, as it were, the positive ones. Why do we observe, first of all? Why do we not offer to help when a child is mastering something? Like in the video on my feed, have a quick look. If you haven't seen the video on my feed, just have a quick look now. It's Harry buttoning his shirt. This was taken earlier on in the year when he had just mastered buttoning, and each button takes a couple of minutes to do, but we didn't interrupt him during that time. So the 3 reasons, there are many reasons, but I'll give you 3 for this evening, why we observe when a child is mastering a new skill rather than interrupting. So the first reason for this evening's Top Tip Tuesday is that we observe to understand, by stopping and observing when a child is mastering a new skill. And this could be putting their shoes on, it could be climbing up the climbing frame, it could be buttoning, as it is in Harry's case, it could be spreading butter on their toast, or spreading cream cheese on their toast. To my kitten, sorry for my distraction, my kitten is sitting in my lap and she's really biting me and wanting to play, so we're going to have to ask her to be removed. Soph, could you remove Wiggly please, because she's really biting me. My sister's staying with me at the moment, and thankfully she's going to come and remove the kitten who's being a real little terror. She's a really cute little rescue, but she's really naughty. So we observe to understand. That's the first thing that we do. We do not, hi eggs and soldiers, hi Sophie. So we do not interrupt because we observe to understand. We understand actually what they're doing. We're understanding where the child is. My motto of enriching environments, and actually the motto of Montessori, is meeting children where they are. If we observe and we really understand where our child is, what they're actually doing in that moment, if we stop and do that, so allow 10 seconds, for example, that's an easy thing to count. You can count on your fingers or in your head, or you can twiddle your thumbs, whatever it is. We observe and then we understand really where is our child in this. In Harry's case, he was just, in the video, he was just doing this first bit of buttoning his shirt. But he may or may not have completed it that day. That's not the point. The point is he carried on doing this work. He didn't want it. He wasn't getting frustrated. He wasn't getting upset. He carried on. No matter how long it took, he just carried on, kept on going. And you'll see in the video, he kept on looking at me and I guess for reassurance, I just kept on smiling. I didn't need to interrupt or say anything at all. Just being next to him with loving support as he was trying to master this feat. So it tells us where the child is, what they're learning, and it tells us what skills they're using, what fine motor skills, what hand-eye coordination skills, or if they're climbing, what gross motor skills they're using. It tells us where they are, and it tells us what skills they're using. So that's why we observe to understand. And then, broadly speaking, in an emotional development sense, we are understanding where they are emotionally. You know, if he tried for 5 seconds and they'd given up and got really upset, then we know in terms of emotional development, he's not ready for that yet. He just got really upset. He's got frustrated. Maybe he's tired today, or maybe he's hungry, or what have you. It just lets us know where the child is emotionally as well as physically. And this isn't any information we need to do anything with other than just note it. Okay, he tried that. He got really frustrated. Maybe he'll try again another day. So that's the first thing. We observe to understand. The second reason that we observe when our child is mastering a new skill rather than interrupting is and I think this is actually the most important reason, we observe to appreciate our child where they are, to appreciate their efforts, to appreciate that they are learning through all 5 of their senses during the first 6 to 7 years of lives throughout early childhood. We appreciate them for what they're overcoming. We appreciate them for what they're learning. We appreciate them for these incredible absorbent mind, as Dr. Montessori called it. Their brain is like a sponge and they absorb absolutely everything. So we appreciate them for the amazing little creatures that they are. Not even necessarily just because they're our children. We just appreciate them because they're learning so much. They're at the height of their power in early childhood. There is never a particular period between 0 to 3. That time of intense, spontaneous, limitless learning will never be repeated in our lifetimes. It's not possible because the brain forms in different ways throughout our lives. Those first 3 years are immensely powerful and so important. So when your child is mastering a new skill, just sit and observe. Just observe them and see this power that they have within them and their light as in early childhood, because it'll never be repeated, this level of power. So the second reason to observe rather than jumping in, interrupting, or offering to help when our child is mastering a skill is appreciating our child, appreciating where they are. And the third reason is, for me, and this is really important as a Montessorian, the Montessori method was all about respect. So we observe to respect. We don't interrupt because we know that what the child is working on, as long as it's productive work, what the child is working on is their work, and we should respect it. That's where they are now. That's what they need to do now. And so it is with a deep respect that we observe what our child is doing. And that is the respect that you will see in a Montessori classroom, in the way that the children handle the materials, in the way that the adults handle the materials, in the way that the adults speak to the children, in the way that the children speak to each other. And there's this beautiful dance of materials and classroom and the guide, where this respect is a limitless circle that goes all in different, well, it's not a circle, it's a triangle that goes in different ways and different combinations. So respect is the other reason, the third reason why we observe rather than jumping in. Respect to the child is, and this is talked about in the Inside Montessori documentary that I showed at Yoga House last week. Like, if we show respect of a child as the first thing, then that child knows what respect looks like. That child can offer respect to other adults, their peers, their other children in their class. Then as they get older and they become into contact with life outside their family, their extended family, the wider community, their religious place of worship, their other schools and their place of work, their university, all these experiences in life, then because they've had this respect at such a young age, a deep sense of respect, that has a ripple effect that then goes out. So whenever they're coming into contact with someone, with a new person, with a new experience, respect is their first instinct, I guess. It's their first instinct. So this is why we observe, to show our respect in their work. And by offering a child with respect, they are then able to pass that forward, to have that as part of who they are. And then they can send that out into the world as they grow and mature and learn and develop and all of those things. If you have any questions, please do jump in. Don't at all feel that you need to hold back. So let me just take a sip of my tea. This is amazing rosebud tea. It's so good. It's just the rose, well, I don't have the teapot next to me, but it's just the rosebuds, and it's so fragrant, and it's like, I was just saying to my sister, it's like being given a really, really warm cuddle. It's just really, really lovely. It's like a cuddle in a drink. It's really lovely. So now let's move on to, we've done the first bit, why we observe, and now why do we not offer help? Why do we not interrupt when a child is mastering a skill, a child is working on something? And again, I've broken this into 3 reasons. So the first reason is, if a child is working on something and we offer to help, we interrupt in any way, even if we interrupt to ruffle the hair or to offer praise or to engage in them in any way that seems like loving. And it feels like we should be able to do this because we are their parent, right? However, if we are interrupting for any reason other than safety, we are breaking their concentration. Concentration is a skill that has to be developed. It's not something that magically appears at a certain age. It can be developed, and it can be developed from very young children, very, very early on. And of course, the concentration in a baby may not seem such a big deal, but as a child grows and matures and they go into school, and then when they get to, depending on where you are in the world or when you sit your exams, 12, 13, 14, 15, throughout the teenage years, our children's lives are punctuated by exams, high school exams and primary school exams, whatever that might be. And actually, concentration during those periods of times when they are taking exams, concentration when they are writing a creative story, concentration when they are doing a beautiful piece of art, concentration when they're working out a maths problem, concentration when they're doing a science experiment. We all need the ability to concentrate. And even more so in our world when we're literally, flicking through social media, and I think isn't it like you've got 2.3 seconds or something to capture someone's attention. We are all just gone to pieces in terms of our concentration levels, but we can develop this in our children from a young age. And not interrupting them when they're working or playing on something is so easy to do, or easy to understand, but very difficult to do, because we and it's really interesting when we catch ourselves doing this, because we generally don't interrupt adults in the same way that we interrupt children. Generally, you wouldn't interrupt a work colleague by shouting across the room to them, or a friend or something. You'd go and speak to them, or you wait until there was an obvious break. However, with children, and we all do it, I'm not saying that I don't do it, we interrupt. We'll call across the room, we'll shout across the room, we'll think that we're essentially thinking that what we have to say is more important than what they're doing, which of course is not true, and we don't really believe that. But our respect of our children comes from deep within us, and if we can foster this concentration by not interrupting them, that shows a deep level of respect. But this concentration, we all need it later in life. They're going to need it. We can develop it from a young age. So protect their concentration by not interrupting them, and then they can develop it little by little. The second thing to say about concentration, when it breaks a child's concentration, if we interrupt and offer to help, then it actually lowers a child's self-esteem rather than increasing it, because there's an inference there, there's a suggestion there that they're not going to be able to do it. It actually takes away their self-confidence, because they will think that they can't do it. If we're constantly interrupting and taking over, I mean, hopefully you're going to have a really feisty 2, 3, 4-year-old who is going to tell you to go away when you try and interfere when you shouldn't. I mean, both of my children have really taught me a really good lesson about not interfering, because they get very cross if I try and interfere or try and help, give unsolicited advice or unsolicited help. So hopefully your children will tell you off if you're interfering too much or breaking their concentration. But I've lost my train of thought. When we break that concentration, there's less chance of them completing it, and there's less chance of them repeating it as well, because if we took over and did it for them for the first time, they haven't built any self-confidence that they can complete it. So why would they repeat it again? They know either we're going to take over, or they've understood the message that they know that they can't do it, so we're going to take over and do it for them anyway. So it's not a positive message we're sending. It's sending a message of you're helpless and you need me to help you, when it's actually the opposite of what we want to do. We want to imbue them with a sense of capability, don't we? And give them the skills and the opportunities and the time and the space to be able to do things for themselves. So that's the second one. It suggests a lack of trust in the child's ability, and we don't want to do that. We want to increase their sense of trust and their sense of self-confidence in being able to complete whatever task that they're doing. And so number 3, I'm just trying to read my notes. Why we do not interrupt or offer to help when a child is mastering a task. The third reason is actually can be quite difficult for us to understand, because if we are interrupting because we want them to hurry up, or because we find it too agonizing for them to complete that button in 2 minutes time, we're making it about us rather than about them. And we don't want it to be about us. We want it to be about our child. We're making it about the fact that we can't sit on our hands and not say anything. We're making it, and I know I talk about this a lot, we're making it outcome driven rather than process driven. A child's learning throughout all of our learning is, we want to see, we don't know what the outcome's going to be, so we just, we have to trust in the process. We all have to be more like children, don't we? Just trust in the process. But in the first 6 to 7 years of life, this is really, really crucial, that they are given the time to be in the process. They don't focus on outcome. They do not. And there's a beautiful quote in the Inside Montessori film of, a toddler is not washing dishes because he wants clean dishes. A toddler is washing dishes because he can. So, and we see this with our toddlers. They repeat things over and over and over again, and it can be excruciating for us. But we're making that about us, and we don't want it to be about us. This is about our child and their process, and we must trust this process, knowing that they don't care about the outcome. Harry did button 2 or 3 of his buttons in that video, and the outcome of that video is that 2, but he didn't do all of them. It didn't matter to him whether he did all of them or he didn't. Eventually he came and asked for help with the last, I think there's 6 on that shirt, so with the last 3, but that didn't matter to him. I hope that I gave him the opportunity to go through the fullness of that experience, the fullness of that process, so that he was satisfied. And then he came to me when he needed help, or he could have even gone to Olivia when he needed help. I have to trust that when he's buttoning, unbuttoning, or washing the window for the 100th time, it doesn't really matter whether he completes it or not. What he wants to do, he needs that process. His learning comes from the repetition. Every child's learning comes from the repetition, not the outcome. It's the process, not the outcome. And when we are able to really embody that, really imbue that, really understand that and live that, knowing that it's for us to let our child's journey unfold and to trust that process of unfolding, then that's a huge step in our understanding, and it's a big shift in us and in our, I guess, our expectations of our children, our expectations of ourselves. So we don't want to interrupt. We don't want it to be about them, about us. We want it to be about them. We want to observe first of all, and observing means stopping, sitting quietly, or standing quietly if it's going to be too obvious for you to sit down, and just spending a few minutes or whatever time you have to hi Salma, just to observe, to be in stillness and to see what our child is actually doing, not what we think they're doing or not what they should be doing differently. Just see what it is that they are doing in that moment, and we learn so much, just that magic. And if it's excruciating and unbearable, see if you can count to 10 in your head. Can you do some breath work in your head? What can you sit on your hands? That's what we were told in the classroom, and I always tell all my enriching environments clients, sit on your hands and zip it. We don't need to say anything or add anything. If our child is washing the window or the floor or buttoning his shirt or doing the ironing or whatever it is, that is the perfect moment right there. We don't need to change it. We only need to change it if there is an issue of safety. Otherwise, we don't need to interrupt. We don't need to offer help. We can just be there with them in that moment. And that's what's most precious. And this is presence. And this is the type of presence that actually gives our children more than any other gift or more than any other class or lesson or anything else. They just need our presence. And there's that great quote, isn't it? Our children need our presence rather than our presents, as in birthday or Christmas presents. And it's so, so true. Just them knowing that we are there observing them, them knowing that we are there completely for them, meeting them where they are without us trying to change this perfect moment that they're in. We don't need to change it or make it any different or help them or speed them up. We can just be there in that moment with them and observe and breathe if we need to, do whatever grounding work we need to do to be in that moment. But their ability to master skills, their ability to overcome adversity, their ability to concentrate just increases every single time we give them that little bit of extra space to Hi everyone. So I'm not saying hello as people join. I'm waving but not saying hello. Giving them that little bit of extra space and that time and that non-interference is really, really crucial and so hugely beneficial. And as they get older, you don't see the benefits of this until you get older. So don't think it's going to be an instant thing. I'm only now really seeing, as Olivia is 6 in 2 weeks' time, I'm only now really seeing the groundwork that we did when she was little in terms of concentration and, I don't know, love of nature and freedom of movement and how strong she is and things like that. I'm only seeing the results of a little bit of that now as she's turning 6. In the moment, of course you don't realise, but all the times that we did buttons and unbutton the duvet cover together, you know, it's one of the things we used to love when she was a toddler. Her first buttons that she used to fasten and unfasten were on the duvet cover when we changed the bed sheets every week. So little things like that, where we can just give them time to practice and to master that skill without our need to add anything. These are the precious moments, and these are the moments of high value where we have a chance to respect and to trust and to understand. So thank you all very much for joining me. I've had lots of people join. And if you have any questions, please do jump in now. I'll take another sip of my amazing rose tea. And do type any questions you have. But I think we're okay for questions. Everybody okay? And this is going to become increasingly difficult in the coming weeks if you are Christian and are celebrating Christmas, and you may or may not have more, depending on where you are in the world, where you're watching from, you may be, thank you, you may or may not be having friends or family over. And then when the house gets busier, it is more difficult to keep respecting our child's space, respecting our child's play, respecting our child's work. But know that if we're doing these foundations, then when everything passes after the holiday season, everything's going to calm down again. So that's okay. But it is more difficult when you get busier times of the year, whenever it's a celebration or a festival, whichever time of the year, and our houses get busier and our lives get busier as well, as we're dashing and shopping and doing all these other bits and pieces. But know that if we're able most of the time to offer this this respect and trust of being able to observe, then we're going to be setting our children on a really, really beautiful path of letting them unfold into the fullness of who they are meant to be. Thank you all very much for joining. If you would like to learn about my latest online parent enrichment course, then you can go to enrichingenvironments.com, go into shop, and you'll be able to see all of the details, or just scroll down on my feed, you'll see a post from it from last week. Also, I must let you know, just launched yesterday is a competition, launched this morning, a competition with Cloudhoods. Download the Cloudhoods app and you will see that they are running a competition in association with me, Enriching Environments, where I'm offering 2 of my online parenting courses for free. So you just need to see all the competition details. Follow Cloudhoods on their app, follow me, Enriching Environments, and you can see what the details are to enter the competition. I'm doing a launch price for the course for this next couple of weeks. However, if you want to be in with a chance of winning, 2 of these online courses for free, then please go to Cloudhoods and you'll see all the details there. So, thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Maybe next week we can talk about holidays and relatives and friends coming over and our houses being busier, and how we deal with things like discipline issues and food or activities or games or toys that are going to be received that might not be in line with our values, and how we're going to deal with that. So let's talk more about a holiday theme for the next couple of weeks of Instagram Live, and I look forward to seeing you all then. As ever, if you have any questions, please just direct message them to me or send me an email. Say hello at enrichingenvironments.com. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all soon. And happy National Day to everyone in the UAE for tomorrow. Bye-bye.